Okay. Shalom, ladies. Welcome to Coffee and Connection for where are we January 4th, 2021. This is our 12th week. Yes, I am not in my normal location. Um, Unfortunately, last minute we found out that we all had to run out and get corona tests. So we ran out, and I think we made it just before a place closed. The rest of a bunch of us are they're up there in line, and I was able to jump on the call. I was trying to send out an email saying, I don't think I can make it, but I wasn't able to send the email. And then they sent me a message saying, we're all waiting in line. So you can go ahead and enjoy your call. So here I am with all of you. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can see everyone while I'm on the call. But it's really, let me see. Yeah, there's a bunch of you here. It's great to be here with all of you. I will discuss the topic that I mentioned, although I would love to go into it in depth, but let's talk about it for a little bit right now. Um, I'm so happy I didn't end up having to cancel on all of you, and I'm so happy you're all here with me. So let's talk about the this issue, this topic of um, perfectionism, we could call it, the topic of the fear of making mistakes. How do I handle the fact that I make mistakes? How do I handle with the fact that it affects other people? How can I feel confident about within myself, even though I make mistakes? And this comes up so much in our lives because let's be honest, we make mistakes. We all make mistakes. That's the reality of our lives, is that we're going to make mistakes. We all do. And the way that we're able to beat ourselves up for making mistakes is just amazing, right? How much we are able to beat ourselves up and not be able to even sleep at night. I was talking to someone today who was saying she can't sleep at night because she's thinking about the mistakes that she's making. Um, we're so quick to judge ourselves. We're so quick to, how could you and should on ourselves. And if somebody else had made the same mistake and they came to us and told us, we'd probably be like, ah, it's okay. Everything, everything's okay. You did your best. And really, honestly, that is the first and most important thing I think that we can remind ourselves when we make these mistakes. Besides the fact that we're human and we make mistakes and we're not expected to be perfect. And even if there's someone in your life who is expecting you to be perfect, you're not. You're not perfect, and you're not going to be, and you're not supposed to be. Right. So that's their own issues that they have to deal with, the fact that they're expecting perfection. We can only take responsibility for ourselves and live in integrity and be our best selves, but we're going to make mistakes. And what we can do in that moment is to, when we're reflecting back on it and we're upset at ourselves, why did I do this? Is to ask yourself this question: in the moment, was I doing the best that I could do? With all the information I had in front of me, with everything I knew, with all the circumstances going on around me. Because sometimes it's because, there's craziness going on around us, or we're handling a lot in the moment. Did I do the best I could? Even if I made a mistake, even if now looking back, I realize, oh, I could have done better, right? Now we can say 2020 is hindsight is 2020, right? Or something like that. And here we are. But, you know, even if we could look back now and say, I could have done better, I should have done better. Yes, but in the moment, was I doing the best I could? And with when we can really have that empathy for ourselves, and of course, like, of course we're going to do the best we can. And even if I made a mistake, did I mean to make a mistake? So, okay, I can learn from the mistake. I can learn from what I could have done better and get clarity on that and move forward. But sitting in guilt about what I did, or feeling that I can't be confident because I made a mistake, is doing ourselves a disservice, right? It's holding ourselves up to standards that we wouldn't hold anybody else up to, right? And it's really living in a state of like expecting perfection from ourselves. And we often have to remind ourselves that perfection is not what's expected of us. Perfection is, only something that God is and has, right? And and one of the things that I really believe, and I've actually came up as a line when I was on the phone with one of my clients, and we both loved it so much that like I wrote it on the wall above my desk, and I look at it every day. And it's basically, you don't have to be perfect to be confident. We don't have to be perfect to be confident. We don't have to do something perfect to be confident in how we do it. Are we going to be perfect parents? No. Are we going to be perfect wives? No. Are we going to be perfect people, women of the Hashem, friends, daughters, sisters? No, we're not. We're not going to be perfect, but and we can be still confident in who we are, confident that we're doing our best, confident in the paths that we're taking, confident in the choices that we're making, confidence in the type of people, type of women that we are. I can be confident as a mother, even though I'm going to make mistakes in my parenting. I can be confident as a wife, even though sometimes I'm going to get upset and not say the right things, right? I can be confident in myself, confident that I'm doing my best, even though, right? With the reality that I'm going to mess up, with the reality that things are messy and things don't go perfect. Look, here we are in my car doing coffee and connection, right? And it's okay. It's okay, right? It's okay. We don't have to be perfect to be confident. And this is something that will show up in our own lives. It'll show up in our relationship with God, our relationship with our husbands, our relationship with our kids, our work, our home, how much like how we take care of our homes, how we relate to people. We're going to make mistakes. We're not going to get it perfect. And it's okay, right? Being able to say, just like we talked about, being able to deal with the frustrations, the messiness of life, dealing with things we don't respect about our husbands, like we talked about 2 weeks ago. We also can make space within ourselves to deal with the difficulties, to deal with things not going the way we want them to go, to deal with the way things not going the way we think they should go, right? We should on ourselves. And being able to understand that I don't have to get it perfect to be confident. I don't have to get it perfect to feel good about myself. And when I make a mistake, and someone just sent me a message, be confident yet vulnerable. Yeah, I love that. Did I teach you that? Be confident yet vulnerable is like this idea of like you can be confident in your choices. It doesn't mean that, and I don't know how you mean it. It doesn't have to. Confidence doesn't have to mean. Oh, beautiful. Okay, she learned it from Miss Levitan. It's a beautiful quote. Being confident doesn't mean I got it. Doesn't mean like I'm perfect. It doesn't because right because if confident means I'm perfect, I never make mistakes, right? All up in like the ego, all up like in a state of I never do anything wrong. Nobody can tell me otherwise. I'm trying, that kind of ego. I, I know there's a word for it, like being egotistical. Confident isn't about that. Confident yet vulnerable. I don't know how Mrs. Levitan means it, but confident yet vulnerable, when I hear it, means like I can be confident in what I'm doing, but also vulnerable, realizing that I can make mistakes. And that's okay. I can get help, and that's okay. I can change my mind, and that's okay. I can, because I'm a person. And yes, I can allow myself to be loved. Being confident does not mean I have all the answers. It means I'm doing my best. And my best is awesome, right? I'm doing my best. I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm doing my best to not make those mistakes. I'm looking at all the options. I'm thinking things through. And we know that we are. We know that we're doing that. Nobody, it's like when I talk about with our husbands, right? When your husband makes a decision and you're like, why would you do that? Right? It's like, well, no one's, your husband's not just sitting there going, I'm going to make a bad decision, right? He has a reason for why he's making that decision. So you can go into empathy with your husband, like, I wonder why he made that decision. Let me try to understand. We can do the same things with ourselves. When we make a decision and then later we're like, why did I do that? Why did I yell? Or why did I make that mistake? Or why did I end up, messing up in that way? We can get curious and instead of judging ourselves and saying, Hannah, how could you? How dare you? What were you thinking? huh, what was going on for me in that moment? Why did I make that why did I make that decision? Did I think that that was a good decision? I must have thought it was a good decision. Why did I think it was a good decision? Or if I wasn't really thinking and I just kind of went with whatever like I felt like, well, why? What were you dealing with in the moment? What else was going on around you? What was going on in your head, your heart, your body? Were you starving? Did you really have to go to the bathroom for the last hour? Were you dealing with a million things at the same time and suddenly someone was bugging you? Like, what was going on for you? And we can have that same empathy for ourselves. And sometimes it's easier to have the empathy for ourselves and with our husbands. So great, start there, right? But empathy is so important here. And that's where, yes, that vulnerable, confident but vulnerable is so powerful. And when we think we have to know it all and then we don't, so what's the price of that? If I think I have to know it all, if I think that to be a good mother, I have to always make the right decisions, to be a good wife, I have to always, be so loving and always be empathetic and always be calm and always be happy, and then I'm not. Or if I think that, to do a good job at my job, I have to always do it perfectly. If I think that to be good enough, I have to do it perfectly and I can't make a mistake, then what's going to happen when things don't go 100% okay, right? What am I going to tell myself? What's the price of that? The price, the cost is so often losing our confidence. And when we lose our confidence, then we don't have the strength, we don't have the clarity, we don't have the um, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, yeah, I think it's confidence and clarity is really the best word. Like to be our best selves. We don't give ourselves permission to be our best selves because we're just beating ourselves up. And how could you? And like we feel so horrible. um I always think like when we feel horrible about ourselves, that's when we're not our best selves. And when we can have confidence even though we mess up, right? Then we have the confidence, then we have the strength to actually be our best selves, to keep going, to bring forward whatever amazing, our awesomeness that we want to be. Yeah, thank you. Another message here, the freedom to be ourselves. Because when we're not beating ourselves up, we don't have to deal with another voice making us crazy, right? If you think about so many of the decisions that we make, the things that we don't like, the choices we don't like, is because this person's talking to me and I have to deal with this, I have to do that. And on top of all that, I got another voice beating me up. Well, remember so often that besides all those other voices, making a good decision is about having the clarity to see the reality of what are the options? What's going on, right? If I make this decision, what's going to be the outcome? If I make that decision, what's going to be the outcome? We have to be able to think clearly. If we have a voice in our head that's beating ourselves up the whole time, well, how like that's going to have an effect on how much clarity we're able to have when we're trying to make a good decision, right? So when we don't have that voice beating ourselves, and if instead we have a cheerleader in our head saying, "You're doing your best is awesome," I mean, that just gives us the confidence to then make better decisions. So, it's that negative spiral or the positive spiral, depending on which voice we listen to. We're either going to empower ourselves or we're going to beat ourselves up and slow ourselves down, get in our own way. I think there's a book like Get Out of Your Own Way. I don't remember who wrote that book, but there's some book like that, Get Out of Your Own Way. That's a great title. Like, and it's so true for life. Let's get out of our own way by being confident. And remember, you don't have to be perfect to be confident. And if your mistakes affect others, remember they always will. That's what makes it hard to make a mistake. It will affect other people. And we're all doing our best. There's only can be expected to do that. So, with that confidence, I invite you to go forward into your lives feeling confident, feeling strong, and being the best that you can be, making those decisions clearly, knowing that even if you make a mistake, it's okay because you're human and you're doing your best. And remember that when we can be okay with our mistakes, when we can hear them and not beat ourselves up about them, that also means, by the way, that we can learn from them, right? One of the biggest issues with growth, they say, I think where Berkowitz talks about like one of the biggest challenges to tshuva is getting defensive, right? Defensiveness is like a killer to the tshuva movement. It's like we can't fix our mistakes if we're sitting there going, no, well, I had to do that. That was the best thing I had to do, right? Like, of course I was going to do that. It's going to be really hard to learn from our mistakes and move forward positively if we're getting defensive. And when are we going to be defensive? When we're beating ourselves up. So when we're not beating ourselves up for making the mistake, the other amazing, outcome of that is that we can learn from our mistakes and grow and move forward and no longer have to get defensive. Okay. So I hope that was all, okay. You'll gain from that a whole bunch of different thoughts on the topic. I didn't get to sit down and write out a few notes before I started, so I hope that you all, can take something from this. You're welcome to put in the chat. What is the one thing that you're going to take away from this call? What's something that this has made a difference for you, even if you write it down for yourself? What's a line or a idea that you're going to take forward with you to, solidify it and make it give yourself that boost and confidence in those moments when you're feeling kind of like, why did I do that? Remember, we all feel that way sometimes. We all feel the way a lot of the time, right? Like, how do we know what we're doing? By learning and growing. And kol kavod to all of you for being here and making that choice to learn and grow. And I'm so happy that you're here learning and growing with me. It's so great to be here with all of you. I apologize. I'm not going to be able to take um, comments today. Oh, I see there's some comments. Let me just see what they are coming in. Do. I can be my own cheerleader. Awesome. Oh, yeah. I responded to the comments while it was going on. So thank you, everyone, for being here. If you have any questions on what I talked about, go ahead and send me an email so that I can answer them. And thank you. Thank you all for making the time and for joining me in my car. I'm going to run up and meet the rest of my family. And until we speak next time, may we all be blessed to live, love, and be loved with all our hearts. Goodbye for now.